In this episode, we're talking about the 2 reasons why your offer is not being accepted, who pays for the appraisal, and what is the very first thing you need to do when buying a house. You ask real estate questions, and I answer them. This is the Ask Daniel Los Angeles Show. Welcome everybody to episode number 3 of the Ask Daniel Los Angeles Show. Thanks for tuning in again. I appreciate all of your questions that you've been submitting to me through my Instagram and through my Facebook. And thank you to my clients for stopping me on the street and asking me some questions also. I'm writing all of those down and I will get to those on this show. So let's get started. Sandra and Rick P ask, so far we put in 2 offers and they both got rejected. We really want to buy a house in Burbank, but nothing seems to be working out for us. What are we doing wrong, Daniel Los Angeles? Hey, Sandra and Rick. So there's 2 reasons why your offer could be getting rejected. First, it's your offer itself. Maybe you're not offering enough money. They could be asking for $800,000 and you're coming in at $750,000, something like that, and you're just completely getting rejected. It could be your terms. Maybe you have too many days for your inspection. Maybe you have too many days for your loan contingency. Maybe you're going up against cash buyers and the sellers just don't want to deal with the headaches of working with a loan and they just accept the cash buyer. I think it's about 20% of the market right now is actually cash buyers. So that's your competition. Number 2, it could just be the market itself. Prices are going up. There's record low inventory. In fact, I just saw something on CBS 2 News. Let's roll that clip.
Eye-popping numbers about our red-hot housing market. The median home price in San Fernando Valley is the highest it's ever been, a whopping $643,783. There's also less to choose from. There was a record low number of houses available in December.
So at the end there, it says record low numbers for inventory. So that could be a huge obstacle in your way as well. Just there's so many buyers out there and there's not too much for sale. So you're competing against so many different people and one of those offers is just better than yours. So you just have to keep on trying. You might want to raise your purchase price. So if you're looking at $800,000, maybe you want to look at something around $775,000 so that you can outbid people and go up to your comfort level of $800,000. That's one way of doing it. But just keep on trying, or let me know. And I know a lot of realtors out there, and sometimes knowing the realtor itself gets you a little edge in where you wouldn't have otherwise. So you could also try that out as well. Alvey asks, Daniel Los Angeles, I'm ready to buy a home. What is the first step I should take? Hey Rardell, thanks for the question. So when I first started out in the business, what I would do is I would meet with the buyer and they said, hey, we want to go look at a house. And I say, great, how much you want to spend? And they'd say $1 million. And we'd go out and we'd go look for hours and hours, days after days. We'd finally find the house that they liked. And I'd say to them, awesome, let's go get pre-approved for a loan and go get this property. They'd go, they get pre-approved and they're like, oh, sorry, we can only get $800,000 for a loan. So, that completely wastes everybody's time, right? Because they can no longer buy the house that they want to buy and they're heartbroken and they're just upset. So I don't do that anymore. What do? We get pre-approved first. That's the absolute number one thing. You need to know how much money you can spend, right? So you talk to a lender, get the pre-approval letter. They're going to say, hey, you're pre-approved for $1 million. But what if you don't want to spend that much money? Because once they tell you you're pre-approved for $1 million, they're going to say, your monthly payment is X, and maybe you don't want to pay that much. Maybe you want to spend just around what $800,000 is going to be. So now you know that information, and even though you're qualified for $1 million, you say, hey, Daniel, we want to look for properties $800,000, and we're comfortable with that price. Now you got your pre-approval letter. You're ready to go. You can now submit an offer at any moment, anytime. You find that house you like, boom, you submit the offer, you're good to go. Ray E asks, who pays for the appraisal? Is it the buyer or seller? Thanks, Daniel Los Angeles. Hi, Ray. Thanks for the question. Well, let's first explain what an appraisal is. So a buyer is going to be purchasing a property and the offer is accepted already. The loan officer for the buyer says, all right, great, let's get an appraiser out there to the property to see how much the property is worth. So it's a third party independent person who comes out to the property, takes pictures, does a walkthrough of the place, sees what's selling in the area, and determines what the property value is. So if the property value, let's say your offer is accepted at $1 million, but the property value comes in at $900,000. Well, now the bank has a problem with that because they don't want to lend on a property worth for $1 million when it's only worth $900,000. So that's why they send the appraiser out there to get that information. Now, how does that work? Who pays for it? Well, the buyer typically pays for it. The reason why is because the buyer's the one who needs to get it. The seller doesn't need to get the appraisal done. The buyer does. So it usually costs somewhere between $350 and $450, I would say. And the buyer's going to pay for that through their closing costs. And that's how it works. The seller's not going to pay for it. The buyer could ask the seller to pay for it, but you just counter them and say, no, we're not going to pay for that. That's how that works.
Molly G asks, Daniel, Los Angeles, when you get multiple offers on a property you are selling, how do you and the seller decide which offer to pick?
Molly, excellent question. Thank you. So I've been in this situation before where I'm representing a seller and I get multiple offers on a property. Now, before I even show anything to my client, what I do is I ask the buyers for their best and final offer. That way, when I sit down with my seller, we're looking at everybody's best and final offer. I'm organizing them from the lowest price to the highest price. Now, my seller usually wants to look at the ones that are offering the most amount of money, and we'll look at the top 2 or 3. And we go over everything: the price, the terms, who has the least amount of time for inspection, the least amount of time for their loan. And you look at everything, overall picture. If there's 2 offers that are completely identical, well then I'm gonna look at who the real estate agent is. Have I worked with them before? Did I have a good experience, a bad experience? And I'm gonna tell my client the experience that I had. Maybe this agent, oh, they're perfect, they're professional and great to work with, maybe we should go with that one. Or maybe the complete opposite, they had a bad experience with them. So that's kind of a way to narrow down the field, but usually 2 offers are not exactly the same. There's a little bit of a difference. Usually it's price. So one might be more like 10,000 grand more than the other, and usually the seller will go with that one. But you really have to look at the big picture and look at everything. That's it. Episode 3 is in the books. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you have questions, Instagram, Facebook, email it to me. That's how you can connect. If you see me on the street, stop me, ask me the question. I will be sure to get to it on the show. So you keep asking those real estate questions and I'll keep answering them.